Okay. All right. Hello, nerds around the world. Welcome to another episode of the Nerds United One podcast. I am CM Miller, your host for tonight, and tonight we'll be discussing our top 10 favorite characters from movies in the 1980s. And to do that, help me out with that is I have Colton Hunt with me. Colton, what's going on, man?
Hey, Chris. I'm happy to be here tonight. It's just the black guys, it seems, this episode.
Yes, it's the black gentleman on this episode, CCS. Yes, we have taken over the Nerds United One universe. Not really, but yes, yeah, it is just being Colton tonight. And hopefully we're able to give you a good show. Definitely, especially tonight we have an interesting topic. As I said, top 10 characters from movies in the 1980s. Which will be looking at why these characters are our favorites, what aspects of them, what particular certain aspects of them that makes them stand out for us. I mean, the impact, so forth and so on. I'm admittedly, for me, I'm not a big fan of movies from the 80s, but it does have some interesting gems. And the great thing about the movies of the 80s, they do have some, interesting characters. As you'll see, hopefully you'll find my list interesting as well as Colton's. So we'll just dive right into it, and we'll be going from 10 to number 1. Starting from myself and going on to number 10 for me. Number 10 for me is Pete Maverick Mitchell from Top Gun. Of course, this is one. And this is, of course, it was played by Tom. The character was played by Tom Cruise. Top Gun, as cheesy as it is a pretty damn good movie. It's a pretty damn entertaining movie in its own right. The storyline can be a little cliched, there it could be a bit hokey, but there's no doubt you're drawn to Tom Cruise as Maverick. This guy is a cocky, crazy, daring son of a bitch. There's no doubt. No doubt you're drawn to him. No doubt. With him. It's just there's an appeal about Maverick. There's an appeal about Maverick that instantly draws. That instantly draws you to him. And Tom Cruise played a role to a T. He is, he's daring as all ghetto. He's instantly likable. Of course, you have that adversarial relationship between him and the Val Kilmer character. Who plays Iceman. You just love their because they still play off their mutual loving one another. Of course, you got Goose, who's like the wingman, the sidekick. They always say he's the sidekick of Maverick, but he definitely is his confidant. Yes, and of course, spoiler alert. It is kind of heartbreaking when we see Goose die in the end. You can see how much he truly cares for him, But like I said, with Maverick, he's instantly likable, and he has a certain gravitas about him that makes him all the more endearing about him. Definitely. I'm pretty sure some people would question why him. The movie Top Gun is a masterpiece. So like I said, it is entertaining, and there's no doubt that it has become a great part of popular culture. There's no doubt about it. So Pete Maverick Mitchell is number 10 on my list. Colton, what's your number 10?
All right, first, some of the people on my list appeared in multiple films, so I'm only going to go past the 1980s, so I'm just going to judge them on how their characters were represented in the 80s. Mm-hmm. So we're going to start off with Freddy Krueger.
Oh.
Freddy is as iconic as they come, but he's lower on the list because, like I said, he's being judged on how he acted in the entirety of his 80s run. And to me, he just becomes increasingly less scary as the franchise continues.
Jackie Earl Haley. Oh.
He had a tendency to laugh and crack jokes in the fourth and fifth movie, and had I counted the movies past that, I might not even put Freddy on the list, considering how he refuses to shut up. That being said, Robert Englund gave a very good performance in the earlier films, and his sense of humor, when it was restrained, that is, gave him a bit more personality compared to the other slasher movie villains at the time. The fact that he had access to his victims' minds also allowed him to be more creative with his kills, and be more creative with the skills and be more psychologically manipulative. Like there is one character who she wanted to get into movies and whatnot. So Freddy, when she fell asleep, Freddy grabbed her and she shoved her face into the TV. He's like, "Welcome to prime time, bitch!" Bam. And then there was one guy that he cut open and used his blood vessels as to make him into a puppet and what have you. That was very disturbing, among other things. It's like he's the people call Michael Myers the boogeyman, but screw that. Freddy is the boogeyman. There are people. And even at his worst, he still had his chilling moments and what have you. In the fifth movie, even though I'm not a fan of that, the way he basically just trapped one girl in a chair, just continuously stuffed food into her mouth until she eventually just choked and dropped dead from that. That was very disturbing, among other things. Making him one of the most iconic horror movie baddies out there. Even if he couldn't keep the momentum going for long in this franchise. So that's my number 10.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen much from this franchise. I don't want to see more from it. I mean, I wasn't really fond of the remake. It still was
we don't talk about that.
I figured that, of course, definitely. But going on to number 9 for me is Doc Brown from the Back to the Future trilogy.
Great Scott!
Yes, Great Scott, Marty. Yeah, I mean, Doc Brown, instantly lovable character from the Back to the Future movies. Is the wonderful best friend and even I would say parental figure to and my mentor to Marty. He is really the anchor for him, definitely and he's definitely the guy for wisdom in terms of Marty. In terms of advising Marty on what to do, when not to do, despite being very how to say wacky and irreverent. And very out there. This is very and this is very eccentric and often absent-minded. There's something lovable and endearing about this character. You just can't help but feel the appeal towards him. And Christopher Lloyd, he was instantly perfect for the character. I know they wanted John Lithgow for the role, and
really, man, I never knew that.
Yeah, they did, and they also wanted Jeff Goldblum, Dudley Moore, also. But you can't imagine anyone else better than Christopher Lloyd playing this character. Definitely.
Yeah, it's like Doc Brown is a character that he's like by all accounts he's the kind of character that shouldn't have worked, but Christopher Lloyd found a way to make it happen. Yeah,
especially Doc is laughably, wacky, especially in several moments, because you can't talk about him without those mannerisms, it's like, oh, Jordan, stuff like that. And
1.21 gigawatts.
And he based those, mannerisms on Leopold Stokowski, who was a famous conductor. Of course, Disney fans wouldn't know that name. He was a famous conductor of classical music. Like I said, Disney fans would know him, from Fantasia. Of course, and he based him on Albert Einstein as well. Despite what the inspiration he got with this character, he definitely made the role his own, and he's definitely one of the major iconic figures in American cinema, in cinema in general, without question. Definitely. All right, Colton, what's number 9 on your list?
Number 9 on my list is The Predator. from the Predator franchise. Be very, very quiet. He's hunting humans. Of course, I can't. What?
I said, okay, Elmer.
Of course, of course, I can't go much further than Predator 2 because Alien versus Predator came out much, much later, and Predators was in like 2010 or something like that. But anyway, what I like most about the Predator is what do I like most about it? Well, one thing I like most about it is actually I think the Predator has maybe one of the most iconic unmasking scenes in film. It's like when you see the Predator, he doesn't look. I mean, he looks intimidating, but he's mostly like kept camouflaged by his technology. We don't really get that much of a good look at him at first. And when we finally do see him, at first he's kind of visually unimpressive. But when he takes off that mask and we see see what's beneath it, I'm like, damn. And it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger's character was like, you are one ugly motherfucker. And then the Predator lets out its roar. That was maybe one of the most iconic creature roars I've ever heard. I think it's like, oh my god, I can't believe I just did that. That was bad. Hold on, let me just bring up the actual roar so you don't have to be, because that roar was just a pale imitation to how it actually sounds. Let's see. Aha! Okay, so yeah, that's the Predator roar, and it's awesome. One of the best sound effects in movies, I think. And I like how the Predator is actually a pretty intelligent creature and what have you. It's like when it picks the perfect environment to stalk our heroes, and that case being a jungle where even if it didn't have its camouflage technology, it would still be able to keep itself hidden for the most part. Since, well, I mean, it's a thick jungle and what have you. It'd be very easy to not notice it since it doesn't wear. It's still pretty inconspicuous. Its colors are pretty dark and whatnot. They would match up well with the environment. And I also like how in the sequel, Predator 2, the Predator also shows that it can easily adapt to the heroes trying to one-up it. Like when they do something to hide their body heat or whatever, it switches its mask vision to something else, allowing it to spot them and go to town on the humans, of course. But I also liked how it was established that the Predators aren't just like mindless killing machines. Aren't just killing machines. They do have something of a code of honor, like in Predator 2, when the Predator was going to kill Maria Gangita Alonso's character or whatever, it decided not to because she was pregnant. And when Danny Glover defeats the second Predator in Predator 2, the other Predators like acknowledge that one of their own has been defeated, and rather than going and killing Glover's character, they give him a gun as a sign of respect and allow him to leave. The Predator is lower on the list, however, because of the fact that it was defeated by Donnie Glover in Predator 2. I mean, I can understand it losing to Arnold Schwarzenegger, but Donnie Glover was kind of old in that movie, I think. Like, not old, but he's not exactly the kind of person you would expect to go toe-to-toe with a Predator and come out alive, I guess you could say. Let me see here. Predator. Oh, wait a minute. I just realized I can't count Okay, everything I just said about Predator 2 doesn't actually count because it came out in 1990. Okay, disregarding all the compliments you gave for Predator 2 a second ago, I still think the Predator itself from the original movie was a great creature. And like I said, all the compliments I gave it were something that is made for a great suspense film and what have you. And of course, the scene where it also has probably the most iconic sounding evil laugh ever, where like this as it blows itself up, it just starts laughing maniacally, and man, that really creeped me out when I saw this movie as a kid, I gotta say. So that's my number 9.
Okay, great. I mean, I've seen Predators, but I have yet to see the original. I know, shoot me. Yeah, I need to check that out, definitely.
Predators is a good movie, I think. Maybe not as great as the first one, but after.
Yeah, I was talking about the original Predator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I need to check the original Predator out.
Well, see it soon. They're both good.
Right. All right. All right. Going on to number 8 for me is Josh Baskin, played by Tom Hanks from the movie Big. Definitely. Big is definitely one of my favorite. I mean, it's not my favorite movie of all time, but there's something about this movie, that is, you're just instantly swept up in it. And this due in no small part to the performance by Tom Hanks as his character in this one of his breakout in this breakout role. I mean, when with Josh, he just like there's so much charm and energy, and then there's and this is in the factual and this and the toxicating youthfulness to this character. You just you just love about you just instantly love it about him. It's just like, and like I said, it's Tom Hanks's breakout role, and he plays his performance to a T. Especially especially, I mean, it's just like I said, there's that. It really shows, especially with this character, about how he so captures the innocence of youth, even though he is a 12-year-old, even though because if you've seen the movie when he goes out to the I forgot what it was.
I actually haven't seen the movie, so I can't help you.
I mean, when he goes up to the fortune teller machine, he wishes to be big, and of course, this 13-year-old kid now, when he wakes up after having made that wish, wakes up in a 35-year-old body. I mean, maybe it's something that shouldn't have worked, but it did. Like I said, Tom Hanks basically really, makes you believe in this character, and like I said, as soon as it's instantly likable, the charm and the energy and the inherent youthfulness of the character is just something that that you're instantly drawn to, and you can't help but like it. You can't help but like him completely. And
that's wrong with Tom Hanks.
Yeah, definitely. Tom Hanks is an icon. Definitely. And then this is one of the roles that proves that, definitely. Okay, Colton, what's number 8 on your list?
Number 8 on my list is.
Remember me, Eddie? When I kill your brother, I talk. Yes!
Judge Doom from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. You look kind of confused when you heard the clip playing in the background, Chris. But yeah, Judge Doom.
I mean, I haven't seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit in a long time. I do need to see it again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's that very freaky part when Judge Doom reveals himself to be the person that killed Eddie's brother and what have you, or yelling in that high-pitched voice. Like, damn, I mean, I think you would expect to see. I mean, this movie was kind of. I mean, it's not like this movie was all guns. It was all rainbows and what have you for it. But that was when the movie took a pretty, even more bizarrely dark turn. But anyway, getting back to Judge Doom. Like Dark Brown, this is a character that, by all accounts, shouldn't have worked, given how obviously evil he is. But thanks to Christopher Lloyd, he worked. I mean, he really was. He was able to make the fact that Judge Doom was so obviously evil somehow like feel natural and like part of the character or what have you. Which is even funnier when you realize that Judge Doom was a toon, meaning that he was probably just acting that way just for a laugh and what have you. Because people were like obviously uncomfortable around him and what have you, and given how sadistic he is, he probably thought that was funny, I guess, to him at least, and got psychotic pleasure out of all that jazz. But of course, when we get to that reveal, and he suddenly takes a 180, becomes totally insane. That was, like I said, was pretty freaky, and I liked it because how I liked seeing how Doom started using went out all out using tomb logic and what have you, and turning his hand into an anvil and then into a buzzsaw. Damn. And every second of screen time, Christopher Lloyd owned it and what have you. So yeah, that's my number 8 Judge Doom.
All right, cool. Like I said, I need to see that movie. I mean, again, is there anyone who doesn't like that movie though?
I can't think of anyone. I mean, and I know someone that like hates all of Robert Zemeckis' work, but even he loves Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't even like Back to the Future.
He likes the first one. He hates the sequels.
Of course. Right. All right. Well, moving on. So going on to number 7. My number 7 is John McClane from the Die Hard series. Yippee-ki-yay.
Motherfucker.
Oh my goodness, John McClane, the role that made Bruce Willis into a household name. I mean, this dude is badass as all ghetto. He's wildly sarcastic and witty to a fault. Definitely, he's definitely. He's definitely got some major. I mean, he's got some major balls to him. He's daring as all fuck. Definitely. I mean, there's this utter charm and charisma to this character. That instantly draws you in. I mean, what I like about John McClane is he's like in every man. He's just like he's the reluctant hero. He's drawn into the situation even though he's reluctant. He's hesitant to take out the call to rescue people in this very very dangerous situation. He lifts up and he steps up to the challenge. Definitely. And this isn't like before John McClane came along. Action heroes are like usually muscle bound, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Bruce Willis. He was just he was just a regular guy. That's like I said, that's the appeal about him. It's like an ordinary guy from an extraordinary situation, and then he lifts up, he kicks ass. He no doubt just doesn't hesitate to wail the shit out of everybody. Anybody. You just you just instantly root for this guy, definitely, because he is such a badass. Definitely, this wisecracking, like I said, cocky as all get up. Badass super cop. You can't help but instantly like this guy, definitely. So John McClane, that's number 7 on my list. Hoping what we go to number 7 on your list.
Number 7 on my list is Vasquez from Aliens. I would have said Ellen Ripley, but she missed the mark by 1 year as Alien came out in 1979. So Vasquez will do, but she's not a bad choice at all. She's a gun-toting badass and can probably be considered the prototype for what Sarah Connor would be like in Terminator 2. And she takes out her more than her fair share of aliens, but she also feels like a character as opposed to someone that was just brought in to kill aliens. And we saw that she did have a sense of camaraderie with some of her teammates, and she got a pretty epic death in the end. Granted, I would have liked for her to not have died, but I mean, it's a horror movie and what have you. Given the large body count that the Terminator saw, I guess it was only fitting that Aliens also saw people biting it left and right. But it was a good death, though, like Man of Steel says. A good death is its own reward. Unless you hated that movie, in which case I'm sorry for bringing up that quote. But yeah, it's like she pretty much blazed the trail for all the badass characters that Michelle Rodriguez would play later on in the day and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, Vasquez, she's my number 7.
Okay, cool. Interesting pick. Okay, definitely. All right, going on for me to number 6. My number 6 for me is the Terminator. Yeah, definitely.
Hasta la vista, baby.
I mean, that was from Terminator 2. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Oh Lord, the Terminator. What? I mean, who hasn't heard of the Terminator? Who hasn't heard of this cold, remorseless, calculating, walking killing machine? With this, very stilted, thick, accent to him, and it's the one that catapulted to Arnold Schwarzenegger to great heights of popularity.
For better or worse.
Better or worse, well, depending on your point of view, yes, of course, for better.
I was like, I I like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but it's like sometimes I feel like some people didn't exactly get why Arnold worked in this movie compared to the later action movies he appeared in, where like sometimes it kind of felt like it was a parody of himself, I guess you could say, but he still has a weird charm to him, nevertheless, though.
Right. I was going to say, yeah, for this movie, I mean, literally, Lance Henriksen was was one of the choices to play the role. But I could see that working, but only to a certain extent. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's pretty much, he's pretty much when he plays the role, you can't imagine anyone else playing him. It's hard to imagine anyone else playing this character. That complete utter lack of emotion and remorselessness when contemplating this, he just wonderfully conveys into this role. How he did that was pretty effective. You're terrified. You're terrified of him. It's just like when he just walks. You can't help but. I was scared. I mean, he put me on the edge of my seat. He really scared the bejesus out of me. In terms of performance, you utterly believed. He was this. Killing machine from the future, who was out to alter the destiny of the people of the world. And like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like when he just, like I said, how he conveyed, those characteristics was nothing short of fantastic. And that's why the Terminator is number 6 on my list. All right, Colton, what's number 6 on your list?
Number 6 on my list is Sarah Connor.
Okay.
Like I said, it's only since Terminator 2 came out in 1991, I won't be able to talk about that version of Sarah, despite how badass she is. But I liked Sarah in the original movie as well. And speaking of, like, people probably don't remember that much forgot that in the first movie, Sarah was kind of a more timid character and what have you, not the gun-toting mama bear badass she was in Terminator 2. Then again, most people probably don't even remember Sarah Connor and tend to just think of Arnold Schwarzenegger when they hear the word the Terminator, which is kind of a bummer because, like, Linda Hamilton, well, when the first movie began, I felt like Sarah Connor was the kind of character like Judge Doom. She shouldn't have worked because not only was she a damsel in distress, she was also a MacGuffin girl, meaning that she easily could have been a very annoying character that could have been screaming every 5 seconds while you try that could eventually get to the point where you have to wonder why Kyle is sticking his neck out for someone like her. But Linda Hamilton did a good job actually making Sarah the kind of character you would want to root for. She was obviously. Yeah, she needed to be saved a bit, and she was obviously very frustrated with Reese throughout the movie. But it didn't last though. Like she gradually started to like get with the program as the movie continued, and started working with Reese, making the moment when they had sex and everything actually making that scene actually work, among other things.
Yeah.
And I also liked how her final moment, or how she finally got rid of the Terminator. In the end, she's all like, "You're Terminator, fucker," and then she has to wonder now what's the future going to be hold now. Should she tell John to send his dad back or not? And you got to really feel for her in that moment. It's like that's the moment where when Kyle died, that was the moment where she graduated from being a plot device to an actual character. You're like,
yeah,
and it's like you have to realize that she really has. Her life has been changed forever, and she has no say in it. But she's gonna do whatever but she's not going to pout about it. She's gonna go ahead with it and make sure that her son manages to save the day someday.
Right.
Of course, then Terminator 2 comes around, and we see that this entire thing has just shattered her. And poor Sarah, but that I can't talk about that one. But yeah, Sarah Connor, she's a MacGuffin girl and a damsel in distress done well, I think.
Right.
And it's like she had Reese lived. I mean, I liked him and Michael Biehn, but I feel like he easily could have overshadowed Sarah. And when it came to this movie, even though she's supposed to be the savior, the mother, the savior of the world, and what have you. So the way everything turned out was a good way for Sarah to stand on her own.
Right.
That makes sense.
Right. Definitely. I mean, I liked Sarah in that first one, but I loved her, of course. Who doesn't love her in the second one? She's, this, badass, take no prisoners, character, definitely. I I like her in this one, but Terminator 2, I feel she was much better.
And then Terminator 3 just unceremoniously kills her off screen.
Yeah.
I could have let that go if not for the fact that the characters just really don't seem all that torn up about the fact that Sarah is dead.
I don't think so. I mean, I just yeah. How I hated when they moved her along like that. It's like was there nowhere for her to go? I felt they could have used her a bit more, I guess. But I have yet to see the Terminator series.
Yeah, Sarah Connor Chronicles was actually a pretty good series. I think they fixed most of the mistakes that the Terminator franchise had been played was kind of at Terminator 3, and the Terminator 3 was infamous for. I think they brought the grittiness back to the series, and the Terminators went back to being frightening creatures after the TX was, well, decidedly not all that intimidating, among other things.
He has been.
And then what?
I don't think it's been intimidating. Hasn't antagonists. It's been intimidating for a long time.
The Terminators were I think the main problem with the well, I'll get into this in a few minutes actually when I get to my number 5. But like I said, Sarah Connor Chronicles mostly restored this franchise to its former glory, and then like Firefly, it got canceled too soon. Darn you, Fox!
Yeah, Fox. They're not too bright over there, the executives. Oh man. But yeah, going on to with our list, going on to number 5. Number 5 for me is Ferris Bueller.
Bueller. Bueller. I don't think I've ever seen a class that just dead inside in a lecture in a movie ever. Just watching Ben Stein rolling on and on about whatever it is he was talking about.
Yeah, dead inside and how live and dead inside compared to how lively and vital its main title character is. You couldn't find a better choice than Matthew Broderick to play this role. I mean, it's probably the one that defined his career. I mean, I dare anyone. I mean, I'm pretty sure. He's played, many other characters. Of course, there was and of course, he voiced Simba in The Lion King. Of course, there was a legend, with Reese Witherspoon, but this is the one, that he one of many that he's most remembered for. There's something very likable about Ferris. He's very cool and carefree and charming. As one can be, definitely, and he's quite, clever and quite clever and witty. Of course, you got the best friend in Cameron. Definitely, you could love their interactions between each other, even though Cameron is a bit surlier and a bit grumpier than Ferris can be. You can't help love their friendship. You can't love Ferris. Definitely. Of course, you got the annoying sister Janine. Who doesn't seem deterred by her one bit. He's just saying, yeah, hey, come on, sis. I mean, you think you're gonna put me down? It's like, I'm just being me. That's the great thing about Ferris. He doesn't give a shit about anything. Definitely. I mean, even though he does make some very questionable decisions, such as playing hooky and faking illness, you're utterly wrapped up. You want to go. You want to go on the adventures that Ferris has. Who doesn't want to hang out with Ferris? He definitely is a wonderful, wonderful creation of John Hughes, and he definitely is one of my favorite of all movie characters. Definitely. All right, Colton, what's number 5 on your list?
All right, number 5 on my list is The Terminator. Something about the thing I like about The Terminator in the original movie, and it's something that I think that the other evil Terminators fail to capture, is that it's an unstoppable machine that can't be reasoned with, bargained with, and it absolutely won't stop until it's gotten to its targets. And like the T-1000. Now, don't get me wrong, the T-1000 is also intimidating, but it kind of loses out to the T-101 because the T-1000 does have a couple of instances where it's like, wait a minute, I can't be defeated. Like right before the Hasta La Vista baby scene, it seems pretty shocked that it's been frozen and by the liquid nitrogen, I think, or whatever. And then there's the part where it gets shot by gets a grenade shot into its chest, and it looks scared right before it blows up. But with the T-101, like I said, it was determined to see its mission through to the end, no matter what. Even after it got its human tissue burned off and then half of its body blown to smithereens, it still kept coming for Sarah, and that's very scary. It's probably one of the scariest creatures in cinema, and the fact that it actually can continuously take a beating and still continue on its mission no matter what. The fact that it's I think one of the reasons I like that it keeps coming is the fact that it's actually part of the story and what have you. Like more times than not in a lot of horror movies, the characters will take a lot of the villains and slashers or whatever will take a lot of damage, but will keep going on for no adequately explained reason. Whereas in this case, it's an unstoppable robot from the future, so of course it's going to keep coming for you until you finally destroyed it. And the scene where it rises from the burnt, destroyed truck it was in, and with its human tissue burned off, that is also one of the freakiest moments ever in cinema. And to think that at the time, that was actually a carefully guarded secret. Like, nobody knew what the Terminator looked like underneath its skin. At least at the time, anyway, I don't think. But yeah, when we see it rising and we're like, oh my gosh, how will this thing just... It like goes from, oh my gosh, how will this thing just die to, holy shit, get out there, Sarah, and Kyle, run for your lives. Yeah. Like I said, though, Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles did actually manage to recapture the sense of the fright factor that the Terminators had eventually. I think like not all of them were scary, but a good chunk of them were. Like Summer Glau actually managed to do a very good job playing the main creepy managed to do a good job playing the main Terminator in the series. Like, even though she was a heroic Terminator, she wasn't like Arnold, where he could more or less get along with everybody. She was kind of standoffish with some of the other characters, and you got the sense that she would probably snap and kill you if you got on her case, if you made her upset or anything like that. So the fact that she was a pretty girl and what have you made it even more scarier. But yeah, anyway, the original Terminator, probably the best Terminator, the best of the evil Terminators in the series.
Right. Probably, I think.
One other thing is the fact that, like you said, the fact that it was played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, the fact that Arnold was actually very restrained with his performance, like he only emoted every now and then, and when he did, it wasn't like anything huge or whatever. It was usually so kind of like it really made you feel like he was like a living robot, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And it felt like it was actually like intentional, like it wasn't a lack of acting ability on Arnold's part. It was an actual performance, I guess you could say. Like he had very good body language, making you think that he could crush you in an instance. And of course he could, because he's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, that's my number 5.
All right. Okay, great, good. Let's see. Okay, we're on to number 5 for me. Number 4 for me is Rick Deckard from the 1982 movie Blade Runner. Blade Runner is definitely one of the. Like I said, definitely. With Blade Runner is. There are a lot of things you can say about Blade Runner. It'd be hard to find more you can say about it, definitely, but it's definitely one of the great, one of the great masterworks in the cinema, definitely. And it has this utterly compelling character played by Harrison Ford. He is really a tough, very I wouldn't say acidifier, but he's a very tough, gruff, he's I wouldn't say he's a cool character, but he's definitely a very, I guess he's a very strong one, definitely. There is a kind of there's definitely something compelling about the character here. instantly, drawn to him. Yeah, I mean, he's not one of the great things about him is that he's not like a, I wouldn't say a caricature, but he's not, your typical average, movie hero. I mean, he can, there are moments where he gets his ass handed to him, definitely. And he does not win every battle. I mean, he frequently goes through a lot. He get frequently in a lot of pain when dealing with his adversaries, no doubt about it. But he's not a superhero, definitely. He's just a regular guy going to do a job. He maybe come off as a bit surly about it, but there's something about this character, when looking at him, you're just, you can't help but feel compelled to be drawn by. Definitely. He's not like an Indiana Jones where he's like a daring do archaeologist, or like Han Solo where he's like a cocky, how should I say this? Wisecracking individual. He's rather reserved and laid back character. Definitely. I mean, he doesn't quite have the charisma as those roles, but he is definitely a great character nonetheless. Definitely. So Rick Decker, that's number 4 on my list. All right, Colton, what's number 4 on your list?
Doc Brown.
All right.
Yep. Like we said earlier, Doc Brown is the kind of character that could have easily have been a disaster. I mean, he's the mentor, the absent-minded professor, and the genius all rolled into one. It should have been like a potential recipe for disaster. But Christopher Lloyd makes all those aspects of the character work. I mean, when he shouts at 1.21 gigawatts, it's like, how can I have been so careless and what have you? You really believe that that's actually the character speaking. It's not like some other actor is trying to make that dialogue work. You really do believe it's something the character would say. But he also has some pretty heartwarming moments with Marty throughout Michael J. Fox in the film, making for a very good, one of the best mentor relationships in cinema, I think. Like when he's telling Marty that he's sorry that he has to see him go and have to wait 30 years before he sees him again, and that he appreciates everything Marty's been able to show him and whatnot, but then he like sort of like has a bit of a breakdown when he sees the letter that Marty gave him. And well, again, and that's another thing I liked about the Doc is that he also did try to be responsible when it came to time traveling and what have you throughout the franchise, like especially in number 3 when number 2 actually, when he like did the time machine and they almost cause a time paradox when Jennifer sees her younger and older self, and the Doc is like, okay, time travel is too dangerous. I mean, granted, that was kind of a stupid reason because I don't really see how he could actually come to the conclusion that a paradox would happen. But then after Biff steals the time machine, then he's like, okay, yeah, I can't time travel anymore. I mean, granted, he then it's the time train in Back to the Future 3, but at this point, I think he's realizes that he can be responsible with it. And there's also the heartwarming thing that he said that he needs to let Marty know that he was okay. And then he gives us the kind of cliched but still pointed line that your future is whatever you make it, so make it a good one. And like I said, it's kind of cliche, but those are very good words to live by, and you can't imagine anyone else but the Doc saying them.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I also liked how in parts 2 and 3 when he makes parts 1 and 3 when he makes those models, and it's like, I'm sorry, Marty, they weren't built to scale and whatnot. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, Doc, I couldn't even make something. I couldn't even make a decent Lego village. Okay, you made this, and you're like, sorry, it's not the scale. Oh, give me a break. But like I said, though, Christopher Lloyd, he makes everything. It's like you don't see the Christopher Lloyd. You see Doc Brown.
Yeah, definitely. It was I was like, who can't, like I said, who can't help but enjoy that character? He also could have ended up as just one-dimensional comedic sidekick, but the character had his own facets and interesting quips about him that made him so lovable and endearing.
The fact that you told me that Jeff Goldblum could have been the Doc, I just can't picture that.
Yeah, because Jeff Goldblum was kind of I don't want to say reserved, but he could be. I mean, Jeff Goldblum can be somebody of considerable range, but I don't know. He would. I'm like, yeah, I couldn't see it. He might have been a much reserved, Doc Brown, but maybe John Lithgow would have been perfect. Perhaps a little too perfect, for it.
Yeah.
Because John Lithgow does have, one of the roles. He does kind of bring that quirky, absent-mindedness to it, definitely. But yeah. But Christopher Lloyd, yeah, absolutely tailor-made for that role.
Yeah. And like you said, him being his own character rather than a sidekick was also another plus for the character, also another plus for him and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so yeah, that's my number 4.
All right, definitely. Okay, all right. Going on to number 3 for me is E.T. from E.T. the Extraterrestrial. E.T. on home. Yes, probably arguably the most famous alien in cinema, besides Chewbacca, I guess, or Mr. Spock,
or the Xenomorphs, or the Xenomorphs from Alien.
Right. Yeah, E.T. There's something really wonderful about this character. There's definitely an inherent sweetness and a friendliness to E.T. that there's almost a childlikeness to E.T. To this character that you're so utterly fascinated by, definitely. But the strong point of this character is his relationship with Elliot. But there's an inherent lonely, as much as the character Elliot was really lonely, and just very much in his own world, I guess. When he finds this creature, this creature from beyond his world, despite them being from 2 different worlds, you're just sort of, you're drawn to their relationship. You see they actually care about each other, and definitely in the character of E.T. In the character of E.T. this very, like I said, there's a bit of a naivety about E.T. and a curiosity about him, it's utterly wonderful about him. Some people, a lot of people like to give smack about E.T., saying how it's mawkish and dated, but I wouldn't say it's dated at all. Especially with the title. Like I said, they might make smack comments, especially about the title character himself. The title character, has many qualities about him that people just love. He's definitely one of the most iconic of movie characters. There's so many great things about him. There's so many great things about the character that people are just so fascinated. You can't help but love. You can't help but love so many things about him. I feel the attention that E.T. should give a little more attention than he deserves. He definitely is one of the great, great characters of all, cinema, popular culture. Definitely, he deserves a little more attention than he deserves. But he is an icon, nevertheless. So
Yeah.
he number 3 on my list. So
I always got the impression that E.T. actually was a child.
right.
I don't know, maybe. Well,
apparently he's supposed to be 500 years old. I guess.
Well, he could be young for his. That could still be young for his kind. But yeah, I agree with you. I've only seen E.T. once, but I'll admit E.T.'s breathing. The noise that E.T. made whenever he breathed was kind of odd. But E.T. himself, I think, is a likable character, like for the reasons you listed, and his naivety, and kind of childlikeness to him. And it worked, given how what Elliot needed was a friend, and he got it in one places he never thought he'd see it. And I think that's, if people call this movie dated, I think that friendship is something that they should take a look at the friendship of the movie again, because it's something that you wouldn't expect, and obviously people wouldn't be fans of it since E.T.'s an alien, but he was still a good guy though. So why would you want to tear those 2 apart?
Yes, the government, the people from the government in the whole movie, you try to, divide these and try to separate these 2, and you only seen it once.
Yeah, only once.
What is wrong with you?
I just never got around to seeing it. Like my sister doesn't like ET, so I just didn't get to see it myself.
And anything after that?
No, that's all I have to say on ET, really.
Okay, yeah. So you think it's okay?
No, I don't think it's okay that I only saw it one time, but it's number 3 on my list is.
We're not moving on for this. Okay.
Number 3 on my list is John Yippee-Ki-Yay McClane.
Right.
So a typical positive, like you said earlier, one of the best things about John is that he's the everyman. Like compared to, like you said, compared to like a lot of earlier action heroes that could pretty much just walk through a bunch of henchmen and come out. They could probably take maybe a few minor injuries or so, but then they just shrug it off and keep on going. With John, his injury is always stuck, and by the time the movie's over, he's just a total wreck. The fact that he still manages to come through in the end, you just gotta stand up and give the guy a major round of applause, And the fact that I think one of the best things about John is that he actually has a genuine personality. I mean, when he sees the terrorists are at large, I mean, he does like run off so he can perhaps deal with them, but he's like, holy shit, what am I thinking? I can't fight this many people. I need help. So he tries to call the cavalry like twice, and he only for it to not go the way he planned it to, and then he has to sort of improvise by throwing the guy out the window so it would land on him. Carl Winslow's car. He's like, welcome to the party, pal.
Welcome to the fucking party, pal.
Oh man, that scene has me cracking up every time.
Carl Winslow's car. Oh my goodness.
And it's like he's like one of the best cases of a reluctant hero at the wrong place at the wrong time, and it just works. Grant, of course, John has kind of hit heavy. Of course, the Die Hard franchise hit kind of hard times in the later.
Good day to Die Hard.
But this is the 80's only, so we don't have to talk about them. I was going to actually mention Die Hard with a Vengeance, but that came out in 1995, so I don't have to talk about that one either. Die Hard 2 also came out in 1990, so never mind. We're just going to talk about it's just Die Hard, John McClane and Die Hard in general. Okay, I should have checked this because part of the reason I actually had John at number 3 was because I felt like as the franchise continued, the writers seemed to take almost psychotic glee in making John's life miserable by the time we got to Die Hard with a Vengeance. But, since Vengeance came out in 1995, never mind then. But yeah, John, he's a very memorable hero. Of course, he spawned a whole band of an entire genre of films that are called Die Hard on whatever. I mean, got White House Down, Speed. And what's that other movie? Olympus Has Fallen. The list goes on. And I can't really blame them because that's a pretty good. It's a pretty good setting to take. Having one hero against a bunch of villains in a cut off space and what have you. But it works best for Die Hard, however, because one, it was it's probably not the original first movie to do something like this, but like we said, it works because John's they do not try to sugarcoat the fact that John's just a typical ordinary guy. And of course, he has probably one of my favorite lines ever in an action comedy. It's like, excuse me, sir, this line is for emergencies only. No fucking shit, ladies! I sound like I'm ordering a pizza!
Especially when he's getting a temperature down one gun. Turning one and face off against the bad guys. It's like, he sends a message to them and say, ho, ho, now I have a gun too.
Actually, the line is, now I have a machine gun.
Bruce Willis is awesome in that role.
Yeah, indeed he is.
Definitely. So that's number 3, right? On your list?
Number 3.
All right, going on to number 2 for me is Marty McFly from the Back to the Future trilogy. Marty McFly, probably one of the most well-crafted creations in all movies. Wonderfully played to a team by Michael J. Fox. I mean, Marty is really the everyman. You know, he's brave. You know, he's quick with it. He's intelligent. Definitely, and he's instantly likable. You know, I mean, it's all get up. I mean, but yeah, you can see, the character lacks some. He lacks some true thinking skills. You know, nonetheless, you know, it's more as plucky and as likable as Marty is. You know, he definitely get into situations where he leaps without looking. You know, more essentially.
Great sports almanac, Marty.
Huh?
The great sports almanac.
Oh yeah, yes, especially with all that. Especially, you know, and he can be prone to, he said he can be prone to he can't really control himself on some occasions, you know. Especially, you know, with the whole thing with Griff, it's like, what's wrong, McFly? Chicken? It's like nobody called him. Yeah, he always tries to prove that he's, you know, he can be brave, but you know, sometimes, you know, he gets more than he bargained for on some occasions. Definitely. Definitely. But you know, but you can't help but love this character. You know, this music aspiring musician. You know, he gets into the most idiosyncratic of situations, especially you know with his mother. You know, definitely in that first movie. It's like bit of awkward tension. You know he's going.
I know your mom's Leah Thompson, Marty, but just no.
He's like, you're my mom, but you're so high. Yeah,
you're so thin.
Oh my Lord! Yeah,
it's like Michael J. Fox did a great job just telling how utterly terrified Marty was. Like it, in the hands of maybe of the wrong actor, they could have actually made Marty not seem terrified, and it just seemed like he was actually attracted to Lorraine, even though that was not the point, and even though that's how he disturbing. Yeah. Marty just seems completely horrified by the fact that his mom has the hots for him throughout the entire movie, and I gotta say Michael J. Fox just did a great job selling that aspect, while also making it funny at the same time.
Definitely, he definitely brought both the humor and the awkwardness in those moments. You know, the moments that seemed pretty heavy, I guess.
Wait, it has nothing to do with it.
Huh?
It has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I always love, you know, the number of aliases he brings into it. You know, Calvin Klein, of course. You know, just went over your underwear. Yes, it's a pretty name, dude. So Eastwood, Clint Eastwood. It's like what kind of stupid name is that? But Michael J. Fox, he really brings the earnestness, the courage, you know, and yet the sort of awkwardness, you know, it's in many moments the particular awkwardness, you know, when it comes to playing this role. It definitely made a star out of him, you know. But there's a charm about Marty, you know, and likability about him, you know, you can't help but be swayed by him. I like this character, you know. There's just so many qualities about him. You know, you just so like about him, you know. There's so many pluses about him, you know, in terms of his personality. So Marty McFly, number 2 on my list. All right, Colton, what is number 2 on your list?
Number 2 on my list is Indiana Jones.
Okay,
I hate snakes, Chuck. I hate them. You know, Indiana Jones. I mean, what can you say about him? I mean, Harrison Ford had probably some of Harrison Ford's finest work. Might be even more of an iconic character than Han Solo, I think.
I don't know about that.
Maybe I might be pushing it a little bit. He's definitely up there with Han, though.
Right.
Like much like Han, he's pretty much the traditional character type. In this case, being the dashing adventurer and what have you. Right. But at the same time, you almost feel like Han. Like Indiana Jones doesn't want the adventure part to be saddled with him being an archaeologist and what have you, because there are times where he seems almost just fed up with sometimes he seems like he's fed up with having to be in an action sequence, like when the swordsman showed up and he's like, and then in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, when his when they're trying to escape in that blimp, and then that Nazi guy finds his dad, and he turns him around, punches him out, and then he turns to all the people on the blimp. It's like, no ticket. It's like he's almost just frustrated with the whole bloody affair and what have you. It's like Harrison Ford. I love how he's able to like make Indiana Jones funny without making Indy comical. I guess you could say, like, just the sheer amount of crap he has to go through and what have you and he more or less keeps a straight face, like a straight determined face throughout it all. Just makes it all worth it, I think. And granted, he does have a few intentionally funny moments, but you know what I mean. And let's see, what else do I like about him? Well, he managed to actually play off Sean Connery very well in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, among other things. And so, like I said, he's one of the best adventurers out there. The kind of character that no matter how bad his movies might be, you will still come back because you want to see just what the character's getting into. Crystal Skull, but anyway. Well, Crystal Skull, I think, is decent, but that decent-ish. But that came out much later, so we're not going to talk about that. What Indy gets into that movie.
We must not mention that movie. We're struggling not to mention it. Oh my god! Get the fridge.
It's like when I was online reading about the opening of Raiders of the Lost Ark, they said that it's one of the best openings ever because in just those few minutes they establish everything we need to know about Indy. He's come in the face of danger. He's a traditional hero. He's come in the face of danger, and we know that he hates snakes, and that's pretty much all that we need to know about him. It's not a whole lot, but Harrison Ford infuses Indiana Jones with enough character that he actually, despite having only a few personality traits, he actually feels like a character. If that makes any sense. So yeah, Indiana Jones, number 2 on my list.
Okay, all right. We're on to the top choice, the number 1 choice of our top 10 characters from our movies of this particular decade, the 1980s. And my number 1 is Indiana Jones. Definitely Indiana Jones. Probably the greatest creation. Of that particular decade. One of the greatest creations and one of the great characters in all of cinema. No question about it. Indiana Jones is instantly likable, charming, a daredevil archaeologist. He's fearless all ghetto, except he has that one. He has a particular phobia of a certain, reptilian creature.
Why'd it have to be snakes?
Snakes. Yeah. We all know that Indiana Jones has a great. Snake's not a lizard. Reptiles a lizard, of course. Beast. Oh my goodness. I knew that. Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones. Definitely, definitely just one of the coolest characters in all of movie history, without question. And you couldn't find a better actor than Harrison Ford to portray this character. He almost seems like Indy. It seems like actors do bring a bit of themselves into the character. But I believe he didn't. I believe that is true with Indy. There's a bit of Harrison. Indiana Jones, he's pretty much how George Lucas, created him. But with a bit of Harrison Ford, without question. Definitely. He has the, the wit and Indy is really an intelligent, knowledgeable character. But he has to wisecrack. He's definitely a wisecracking character. Without doubt. Some of the quirks in Indy, are just, are just particularly, wonderful, especially with Marion, in their sparring, verbal sparring together, especially in the first movie. Of course, with Willie Scott, who I did not like. Despite, my loathing of that character,
You mean Willie Scott?
Huh?
You mean Willie?
Huh? Yes, Willie.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Despite my loathing of Willie Scott, you can't help but that their exchanges, the verbal exchanges were, pretty pretty well done, definitely. But yeah, Indiana Jones, yeah, he's instantly one of the great characters, one of the great fictional characters in all of cinema, all fiction. He's a lone wolf, man, a treasure hunter. I mean, he's a non-superhero superhero. I mean, yeah, he is a fallible character, but there's something. There's a kind of Indiana Jones. Yeah, he seems like a superhero in a sense. Yeah, and he has all these, utterly, uh, uh, great facets about him, great quips and traits about his personality. Without question, you can't help but be sweating all his adventures. Who didn't want to go out, go on the treasure run, go out and buy some, go out and find some mystical artifacts, like Indiana Jones. I wanted to be Indiana Jones. I want to go out go around the world seeking some artifacts. I mean, he's just that cool. I mean, there's an intrigue, and there's an intrigue about this character. You find yourself loving, and this is the fact that he is all that brave and all that intelligent, and it has this great sense of humor. Of course, you got that iconic the fedora, the bullwhip, and all that stuff. The outfit, the complete persona of Indiana Jones is definitely one that is definitely wonderful without question. So Indiana Jones, my favorite character, my top character from movies in the 1980s. All right, cool.
Sorry, go on. And to think there was a time where it's a thing that we almost got Tom Selleck playing the character.
Tom Selleck is a great actor, definitely, no question about it. But I don't think. I
feel like he would have played the character almost too straight, and he would have felt like more like a throwback to the. I mean, I know Indiana Jones was conceived as a throwback to the characters from the serials that George Lucas and Steven Spielberg grew up with. But I feel, like I said, Harrison Ford managed to make Indiana Jones into an actual character, and I feel like if Tom Selleck played him, he would have felt more like a throwback as opposed to being his own person. I guess you could say Indiana Jones.
Okay, maybe.
What do you think?
I mean, he might have played the character too straight. I mean, you can see, stuff when Tom Cruise has done, like Magnum PI, which he eventually went on to do. That was the result of him, not playing Indiana Jones because of this contract, to do that show. You can see, he definitely has the chops. He definitely has the persona to play Indy. You might be right. He might have played it a little too straight, too on the nose, I guess, I mean, he does have that charm and humor, but it isn't. But doesn't really. It comes close, but not as close as what Harrison Ford did with the role. Definitely. All right, Colton. What is number one on your list?
Number one on my list can be summed up with one quote: "Size matters not." That's right, Yoda from The Empire Strikes Back. I mean. Back in A New Hope, Obi-Wan taught Luke that your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them. And Yoda's character was a perfect callback to that quote. I mean, Yoda shows up. He's all like crazy and whatnot. He's like, "Oh, found someone you have." And it's like, obviously, we're all, us along with Luke, are probably thinking, who the heck is this crazy guy? And how can I get rid of him? Only to find out that he's Yoda. And the way that Frank Oz just transitions from Yoda's crazy old hermit mode to the wise Jedi Master was seamless, and it was like it was very well done. And the fact that George Lucas actually tried to get Frank Oz nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor with that performance, only the Academy and their infant testimony small wisdom said that Frank Oz's performance didn't count because Yoda was a puppet.
Oh yeah,
good grief.
Yeah.
One of the best things about Yoda was also his character design.
I guess.
Sorry, go on.
Oh yeah, I mean I don't know the Academy or pains in the ass. I don't want to call him that, but yeah, the Academy makes questionable decisions. It has some questionable thinking to it.
Yeah, like Star Wars losing to Annie Hall for Best Picture. Well, Annie Hall is a good movie. Never mind, that's another topic for another day. But anyway, one thing that I liked about Yoda was the fact that was his character design. He's not the kind of person you would think of to be a Jedi Master, and that's what works. I mean, he's the kind of person that would really be able to hammer home the lesson of I think patience and what have you. Because with Obi-Wan, with him as your Jedi Master, as your instructor and everything, you would probably follow him to the ends of the earth and probably just be really caught up in the fact that, man, being a Jedi must be so cool, what have you. So with Yoda, he's the kind of person that you'd obviously get frustrated with and what have you, because he's just a tiny, small green alien. But I think that's what works, because he's the kind of person that will really teach you what the Force is like. Because with Luke, he sees Yoda and he's like, he doesn't believe that he can actually lift him his X-wing out of the swamp. So Yoda just calms himself, looks at the swamp, lifts the ship out without any problems, and that was some very good puppetry work from Frank Oz, because it's very well done. It doesn't look like he's trying to overdo it or anything. You believe that Yoda could just lift the ship out without any problems, and then Luke's like, I don't believe it, and Yoda, and an epic Jedi bitch slap, says, that is why you fail. He's probably one of the greatest mentor figures out there, and which is why it's sad when he dies in Return of the Jedi. But well, he still gives Luke a little bit of one last bit of. Well, actually, he just tells Luke he has to fight Vader. So I guess I'm not sure if that's advice or not. But well, and we also found out that in a deleted scene, he told Obi-Wan not to tell Luke that Darth Vader was his dad, but then again, that might have been for the best, since Luke might not have been ready to process that information. And given what we saw, then again, when we found out that Vader was his dad, Luke appropriately had a heroic blue screen of death. So yeah, maybe he shouldn't have known. But anyway, getting back to Yoda, like I said, everything he says to you, it's like Frank. Okay, I know I'm rambling and what have you. But yeah. As far as mentors go, Yoda's a very good one. He's the kind of person that you probably wouldn't expect. You probably wouldn't. He's the kind of person whose orders you probably wouldn't want to follow. But once you see what he's capable of, you're like, you're obviously going to be shocked that he can do all these kinds of things. And that's the moment where the fact that he's so small, it's what pretty much humbles Luke to the ways of the Force. And suddenly he's a lot more willing to listen to him and do what he says. Granted, he still goes out to fight Vader alone in the end. And that nearly costs him dearly. But Luke actually does learn from what Yoda tells him, and in Return of the Jedi, when we see him again, he's actually changed for the better. He's much more calm. He knows how to use the Force a whole lot better. And compared to how Vader broke him in Empire Strikes Back, this time Luke is able to match him word for word. So obviously Yoda's teachings did the trick. So it was a very good. It was very good on George and company's parts to, or whoever designed Yoda to be that way, to have him be a small, tiny creature or what have you, because it made his lessons all the more impactful, I guess you could say. So yeah, that's my number one.
Okay, great pick. Definitely, I mean, that's a pretty solid pick. Definitely. Okay, all right, that will do it for our show. Definitely, this is definitely great. I mean, it's great, definitely great touching on a subject like this. I mean, it was great. A lot of fun touching up on this. It's great discussing our favorite characters from this particular movie, particular era in cinema history. We did have some interesting favorites here and there, but it's definitely fun tackling this whole thing without a doubt. Thank you so much for joining us. Definitely. I know, like I said, with DC TV recap show, we've been struggling to get that up, but most of us have been very busy. But we'll get that back up eventually, definitely. Make sure to check out our next show. Our show next week will be Top 10 Movie Sidekicks, and make sure you check out for that. And I'd like to thank the person who was. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'd like to thank the person kind enough for joining me. Colton Hunt. It's a great.
Happy to be here, man.
All right, great. Yeah, like I said, it's great. It was always a pleasure having you on the show, definitely. But make sure to check out for our next show, Top 10 Movie Sidekicks, which is the topic for next week. Hope you see us all there. Okay, thank you so much for joining us on this particular episode of Nurture Nice One. Until next time.
Next time.
Bye.
We will see.